Well, it's high time I reviewed Dawntrail, and simply because I need to. I've made a script for this, and I'm not going to use it because there's so much in it. I think mainly I've been into the story into precise detail, and I think I still understand it for the most part. The first thing to say is, for an MMO, Final Fantasy XIV does a lot of things well, especially compared to others out there. And unfortunately, at least until Dawntrail, the MSQ and old content is handled pretty well, and you have a reason to do outdated content thanks to duty roulettes and just if you're bored in general, then you've got something to do. Notice the wording until Dawntrail. And the Walker had the perfect ending in part 2 without going into too many spoilers. Um, all the content was pretty decent. This was honestly peak. But given I'm a new player that didn't get to finish A Realm Reborn until August 2024, I was drastically behind and somehow dodged the whole Dawntrail hype. It's taken me almost 1 year to finish the MSQ with some breaks and hitches in between, mostly thanks to another crappy few games taking up my time and money. And finally in June 2025 I got to the MSQ of Dawntrail, and it's now 31st of July and I've finished it. I'm progressing through the story. It's patch 7.2, and no doubt something will come out soon because 7.3 is next week. But the story is a mess. It's not that I didn't like the direction, it's just that I didn't like the execution. It has good moments and bad moments with part 1 of the story. Welcome has some lines that almost brought me to tears. However, that doesn't excuse what a sloppy a story this is. Personally, I like the idea of not being a hero of a story. It's different, but it's not for everyone. The best way to describe it though is it's lacking depth and intrigue. So I was going to explain all the story, but I'll just try to sum it up. We're recruited by Wakama to go to Tulial to participate in the rite of succession. I'd say it is, I can't remember the actual name. And we're competing against 3 other people, to essentially get to the rite of succession and become leader, to lead the people here. And one of those people is a cat boy, who's a mechanist. The other is a Maulja called. I can't remember the names, it's so fucking confusing. That's one of the other issues with this. They've named every single Maulja very similarly. So Bakulja I remember because he's cool. He's the twin-headed one, same as the father of these 4. Surrogate father, I think. And the other one's a Maulja, I think, called Zadul? Or Galil? I can't fucking remember. No, the current ruler is Gulja. And Zarul. Zarul is the name, I think. Yeah, Zarul. But we go into like helping different tribes and stuff, and there's an S rank, so I'm gonna go do that quick. Assuming the queues aren't stupidly long. So yeah, I got distracted here. But yeah, like, it's frustrating as hell going through the story because it's like, some of it's fun, but other parts are like, nah, I'm just not getting it. And the problem with it is that every single character is portrayed as like some sort of secret, like they're hiding something. Kawana is the cat boy, it's quite empty today. And then this is all Zoruljar. It's not portrayed in any sort of way, it's sort of a mystery sort of person. Until later, we discover he's an absolute douche. And then there's Bakulja, who turns out to be a complete asshole. So, it's not surprising, and he's got to Aero, it's hard multitasking. Um, yeah, like, it's so problematic in that sense, because the way that they're portrayed wasn't good. And with the former Scions, as we know them now, we go to Tutorial and help these people. Although Thancred and Urianger, for some reason, are helping Corona. But the other two, the Mawulja, are getting help from other Mawulja, supposedly like their own sort of underground group. Eventually we get to the last part of Yaktel. I forget what it's called. Yaktel is this place, because there's very few here. And we learn about the history, which gets interesting. We learn about the history of the place. We sort of get an idea of like what it takes to be a leader. We even find out what Clement's father is, and all that's kind of interesting. But then, after we succeed in the trial, because there's like trials for each thing, we get lured out by Bakulja. And this is where the story gets very sloppy. So, we're trapped because apparently it's in the rules that you can essentially kidnap, and also book them off kidnap before that, I remember. Or during it actually, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, we got ambushed and they tried to take our obviously thing from the trial, and somehow Wakama beat him, which is just fucking insane. There wasn't too much explanation for this other than she was inspired by the people. Not sure. I guess that works. And then Bakulja runs away like a sick puppy, so that's how that went. And then we appear in back there and to the people who did the trial and get directed in the next place, I think. Also find out what Lamar's father at that point. And then we go to... No, it's actually before that. No, I got mixed up there. Then we go further down into the forest area, and we see another trial on the way for, which is taking place with I think both Bakulja and Zarulja, and they're both partaking in this, and they do not succeed, and they're angry about it. They can't believe that they'd lost to this shadow of their father, essentially, who was fighting them, and that was the trial. And they're so like disappointed by this. Bakulja runs away again, and Zarul just disappears for a while. We go to explore like some of the history of this place, and it turns out there's actually a dark history to it. It turns out that the mother of Bakulja is there, and the dark history with the Mawulja there is that they believe the twin-headed Mawulja are the only ones who can rule, because they're basically two people in one. And it's like a sort of authority sort of thing, I think. But despite that, apparently many of them died, and we find Bakulja sort of mourning the deaths of the many brothers, like 1 in 100 apparently survive. And then after learning that, we go back to the trial and partake in it again. No, we'd partake in it first time. And we fight the Shadow as a group with Kawana as well, who seems to be on our side now, and we win. And suddenly we go back to Tulil and we win the right of succession, with the father's approval, of course. And Wakama decides to take Kawana on as like the second head, as they would have wanted, which I do find a bit odd, honestly. if only I was in the story. And yeah, like it's decent in that sense, and that's the end of part one. Part two is a fucking mess, even more so. Because it goes places you don't really expect, and it goes places that just don't really fit in line with this game, honestly. Because I get there's like a sci-fi aspect to it, like the Alexandria stuff is really cool, and Magitech is as well. The problem is it goes this sci-fi. It's literally got like a futuristic city here, and it's like, oh, great. Um, so it's just really frustrating in that sense. We go to a place called Shaoloni, I'd like to say. In Shaoloni, we meet with the others. We find Estinian, finally, and he has nothing to do with the story. It's just fucking weird. I don't know why they did that exactly. They did train people, I suppose, one bit. The story though was weird because we're suddenly going to the Wild West, literally, and like nothing happens. Like they put this entire story here. It's not quite. They put this entire story here with like nothing happening until the very end, where something randomly appears and causes shockwaves, and a spaceship appears and starts attacking Tully. Great. What the fuck is this about? Like the Allegan stuff in Heaven's Ward, by the way, was very interesting. That's like how you do sort of alien stuff, but this was different and not in a good way necessarily. Like the first thing is it's sci-fi meeting a fantasy world, and I think that's cool in some aspects. But in the way it was executed, it was like, oh, so this isn't really that advanced, isn't it? And it turns out they invaded Toledo, we went there, and they were attacking the civilians, killing them even. So a war crime was being committed. At this point, we go to check on Father, and he is being attacked by a futuristic Zarolja. And eventually he gets defeated, the father I mean, and no, Zarolja gets defeated first and seemingly dies by his father's hand, and then Zarolja gets back up because of this weird echo thing on the side of his head. So the echo thing, it's like it's actually a soul thing, so I'll explain later, and kills the father, and he dies. And what Cobalt does honestly one of the worst cries I've heard in quite a while. And it sounds everyone. Also, we get a teaser before that about some green princess girl. Eventually, we go back to Charlone, we make a train, we go into the thing that appeared, the random orb of shit. We discover it's like a deserted ruins of what used to be Zerenville's home. Zerenville's? What am I going to call the name though? And we find the Green Lady there, who turns out to be someone called Queen Fiend, who works alongside Zorolja to keep her people safe, and she portrays herself as not wanting her people to come to harm, while Chromat tries to reason with her and seems to get through at first. Eventually we go to Solution 9 and discover it's very futuristic, and we also meet some rebels after that, I think, and they turn out to be people who oppose this thing. And they don't wear these side gear things, I don't know what you call them, that contain souls, as we learn from them. They basically have an endless pool of souls, and they're trying to kill people until they are to essentially give them souls so that people are pretty much immortal. They can't ever die. But obviously we take issue with that, and we try to address it, and Zorja suddenly comes to attack us, and we find out he has a son. It gets very confusing. Then we meet him in the outskirts for a fight, seemingly. And he orders to attack citizens, which is against Queen Savine's role essentially, and yeah, like can't really remember what else happened to. It's just very bad, and like Zavolja seemingly. Oh yeah, we got to the city of God. I forgot about that in the part one. And Zavolja discovers it and goes through, but we didn't. That's what changed essentially. And so we go back to Solution 9, we confront Zavolja, I think. And everything's seemingly fine after that, but and it's a really cool fight as well, I remember. But then Queen's Fiend appears and takes whatever it was he drops. I can't remember. But it's revealed that she's turned batshit insane and gone evil. And we have to stop her. No surprise. So we go to a place called Living Memory, which has basically the same thing. Although I don't think they're kept alive by souls, they're kept alive by ether this time, which is odd. And we go to put a stop to that. Basically stop all these people who are living fine, seemingly. Also using like ether from our world. Just why we did it. And yeah, and then we confront Sphene at the end. She gets mad. And then we defeat her, obviously, and suddenly everything's fine. We also repelled another big attack during that, I think, which is where Stinium came into it. Also, dragons came to Tulio, and it was really fucking cool. Played the Endwalker theme as well, which is great. But yeah, like, that's part 2 of the story, seemingly the end of the main stuff. And then we get onto post-story, which is another fucking mess. We helped a child that we found, who's Zavolja's son. We find out he has a mother, but we don't know who. We found out who the mother is. And then we go back to Solution 9 and we find there's a Queen's Fiend walking around, and it's a living one. But there's also remnants of a simulant, as they call it, who's attacking civilians and causing panic, because Sphene is known to be dead. She died when we defeated her, and Walkabout somehow got to her at that point, I remember. Walkabout helps people in Solution 9 and stuff. I think the Stinium gets blued by some children at some point, which I found kind of funny. That was in the cutscene at the end of part 2. Yeah, we found out the mother, we found out the dark story, which is actually kind of good. Yeah, I like the story, not that it's a good story. And then we tried to stop the simulant, and it turns out it's being controlled by someone of a higher authority, and it's like some kid that Sphene used to know in the past from Alexandria, which is the place that her people come from. And that's where we're at with this at the moment. And honestly, it's a fucking mess. It's messier than this. Yeah. It is bad. And I can't believe it. This isn't even going into the content. With the duties, I was mixed overall for the MSQ stuff anyway. Some of it readable and fun, some of it not. I generally decide that because I like to go in blind and no one thinks I say, oh, but sometimes the punishment is like one shots. And I just feel shitty, and it's also things that are not so readable, it's just more like memory based. I've always hated that. And duties also take so long to do now. Like, each boss fight takes about 3 or 5 minutes. It's fucking nuts. And like doing a pack of ads takes 2 minutes, so you're wasting so much time in these. And I hope they fix this problem, because I don't like it. It takes too long, and people are probably not going to do it as much if it's going to take that long. Other duties I tried the raids. Yeah, I did the raids first and not touched any other stuff. Not done trials or anything. First walk, very fun. I really like this one. It's readable and It's definitely got some insane mechanics, but I like it either way. You get a nice reward for it, which upgrades your heliometry weapon with an Ordale coin, which the wiki didn't say. It just fucking pissed me off. Because it said you have to go to Savage to in these tiers to get it, but no, that's not the case, thankfully. Um, then we go on to these AAC raids, which end up being okay. There's definitely mixed on them. I think the first one was a bit confusing, the second one. Which one was this? Yeah, the B. That one was fun for the most part. This one was meh. Then this one was alright. I liked this one. The music was very good. It's just been my favourite. This one was meh. This one was awful. Couldn't read it at all. It's like you have to figure out what the fucking mechanics were to even be able to do it. I died like 4 or 5 times on this. There's like 2 or 3 times on each of these. This one was actually pretty good as well. I know I haven't touched Savage, so yeah, about does that. But this goes into another issue I have, and with too much end-game content in it. Currently it's taken me 2 months to even get to this point, and this is with like almost non-stop play to an extent. I'm doing things in between, which take up a good few hours of my time, and in some cases just replace it. But having so many things to do is often a bad thing, in my opinion, because it leaves the idea that you're going to miss out on something, and it is very much true. Because I wanted to get some better gear to level up on my other jobs, obviously later on these 3. And I can't do that because literally in these policy finders you don't find anything, at least on Chaos Data Center. There's no practice run, there's only duty completion, and you can't actually progress, you can't even collect mounts, which is what I wanted to do. So you're just kind of left stuck and you can't actually do anything. And that's the problem with making things be inaccessible. Like my immediate problem with the end game as well was like how mathematics was capped. How healing was just kind of hard to get to an extent. You had to do like plenty of A trains and S ranks, and also duties. And like the upgrades for it as well are frustrating because you use an Ordale coin for that too, or you can use sacks of nuts, which are hard to grind, not hard but tedious. A-trains are definitely the best source also for materia, in my experience anyway. Trying to think what else there is. Yeah, like, there's definitely a problem with how approachable it is, and I think one of the easiest fixes for this, so that people can essentially catch up on endgame, is catch up gear. Simple. If you get the catch up gear, you can literally fucking do the content you want. You know, I want to do the latest Savage, which is in here. I can't because the game says I need to be 740 and I don't even have that yet. The highest I've got is 732. Even then I have to wait weeks for that. To even get 750 gears to begin with. So it's just really shitty. Also people list groups for like 740 in this, but you don't actually need that. 730, that's the most. 735 here, 740 here, 740 for the next one. But like, how am I supposed to do this content when people are essentially just farming this and not practicing? And I got suggested to go to the Light Data Center, and I did check it out, and there was practice in there. Why do I have to do that? Well, this is the question. Why are there so many fucking barriers in place to stop me from getting into this? It just makes no sense. I just fucking hate what this game does to you sometimes. It's so frustrating. It just doesn't need to be as complicated. That's the crux of the issue. It's fucking ridiculous. It's unbelievable. And I haven't even done all the content that I need to do yet, so the current prison I haven't touched any of the additional dungeons. And like 7.3 is going to bring, I think, second Alliance Raid. I have to check out the trailer. It's bringing out more story. It's just not exciting. And so that begs the question, is Dawntrail worth it? I think it's very mixed. I think if you like duties and stuff, then definitely. If you're getting it for the story, don't bother. Because if you like a story handy, then you're definitely going to dislike this, I think. Compared to the story that we just had, like, it's fucking crazy. It literally just doesn't need to be a thing. The story is just so bad. Yeah, you've got Dawntrail Part 1, Part 2 here. Yeah. Yeah, well, it was disappointing. I'm surprised. I just wish it was better. Fuck me. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, I've got a Dark Knight quest to do. So here the Mechanist. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the worst it's safe to say. Also, like the level 100 cap is helpful on the heliometry gear. It gets you through a lot of Endwalker extremes. I've managed to get 3 mounts so far thanks to the gear. These 3. And these are supposedly the hardest, I think. One of them is, I think, this one. Actually, very easy, this one. These 2 are pretty difficult, and I'm still going through some. Like, it's still harder than cool, and Singer's Asia area. Let's say Asia. Maybe it is. Yeah, I'm just massively disappointed. And it makes me wish I was here for Endwalker, because I heard that was really good. There's also that mounts a lot from the raids and that. Also, like the frustrating thing with farming mounts, there's so many of the problems with it. They just come from not being able to solo it. Like anything Stormblood onwards is pretty much impossible to solo. It just fucking sucks. I wish they would change it so that you can essentially do it basically however you want. Like you get a massive damage buff or something, or you do enough damage that it's like they just fall over. And so much of the stress and time wasting comes from people messing up on mechanics either accidentally or purposely. And I find that especially in some of these, like, let's see, Zone Out's Funnel isn't really one you just stack most of the time. And tanks can die very easily because there's a tank boss that really hurts. This one, he has a lot of mechanics that wipe on this, the planets. You have to keep track of that and the face, which gets annoying, and then you have to do tethers and split up and then soak, and then have to look out for this like face thing again. At some point, I'm standing like this area. It's got good mechanics, but I don't think people are really suited for it, especially for mount farming. This one's I haven't touched, mount is, I haven't touched, I hate the normal one. This one is straightforward when you understand. It's very hard to master. I did kind of enjoy it. It's just weird, because it's not really, it takes about 4 minutes to do. Then this one takes even longer because people just don't skip the meteor mechanic with the damage they do. I only had it like once, I think ever, where we got a newbie in and we completely demolished it. Like we didn't even see the meteor mechanic. And I think I even died on that one, which is odd. It's like, it's one of the most frustrating ones because of the meteor mechanic and people don't seem to understand that the red is bad, but the purple tether also means it's going to do extra damage, I think, or wipe our age essentially. There's not just the fact that it can wipe you from going red, it's just the fact that it can wipe you from going purple. How does that make any sense? Just make it go red. That's the fucking dumb thing about that. People also don't understand that you can just jump off if that happens. Again, like farming boss has gotten easier, especially in Shadowbringers, I will say. It's not optimal. It's just frustrating. I've done every Shadowbringers one. Most of it anyway. I've done this one because it's just carded as an amount. It's so much more difficult in Involved. I don't know why. And a lot of the time it comes down to the players as well. I mastered that insing mechanic after like the 4th try. And then it's just the faces I needed to get better at. But I just don't get why there's so many barriers to entry again. And you get groups asking for duty completion even in that. Which doesn't mean a thing. Because literally the first time I did Insinger, that's why I've got 2 totems already. You literally get that from people carrying you across the reviving, and that's how that happened here. So duty completion doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't matter. So people need to stop doing that. That sort of brings in like the community aspect as well. At least on Chaos Dinner Centres, players are just mixed. You get really odd players. I remember doing Art and Veil a few days ago in duty roulette, and literally all 3 party members except me were arguing. They were blaming each other, saying like, you should do this properly. It's like, the fuck am I even watching? This reminds me of World of Warcraft Mythic Plus. It literally is what the dungeon feels like anyway. Yeah, it's a weird mix of players, and I wish they'd fix this like player-based issue. So there's more actually happening. Like, this is an embarrassment. Like, if I hop over to Light just right now, you'll see the vast difference that there is in the duty finders. It's 842 at the moment. And when I switch data center, you'll see firsthand that there's more in the other one, and it has caused me to consider moving. Just fucking crazy. Go to Light, let's go to whatever. Then we wait. Yeah, before safely. Also, this process can take over 5 minutes sometimes, even for logging in. Shouldn't be an instant login. Maybe the game does this, bugs out sometimes. That's fine, okay, so it's 8:43, so not even a minute. And look at that. Practice, no item level, which is rare. Often see that with item levels. Boom Age, old content like ocean fishing, like, what the fuck is Grey Units? I no doubt these are like, what's the other game called? I can't remember, it's like a chaotic raid, I remember. That's some lights raid, isn't it? I can't remember. There's something, that's obviously an extreme trial I've unlocked. But like, this is the vast difference between the two, and I'm left here wondering, like, why isn't there any sort of fucking system here where you can cross data centers just to do this content? Like, what gives? Because restricting it is not going to help, especially for a late player like me. It's just so bad. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I've pretty much made my point here. I think I'll go back to Thingamajig. Yeah, thanks for listening, that's my review. See you another time.